Hey everybody, welcome back to our Might and Magic 6 playthrough. Now before we get started I just wanted to say that I am using the unofficial Greyface patch for this. It fixes a few glitches and bugs in this game, and it also enables me to play the game on double speed mode. I'm so used to playing on double speed mode that actually I can't play on normal speed mode anymore because it's just too slow for me. It also adds a few different functionality options. For example, you can enable mouse look, which I won't be doing. I'll be using the vanilla controls for this. But in any case, if you decide to pick this game up, I do suggest that you download and install the Greyface patch. It's really easy. I'll put the link in the description and you could just, download and install it. In any case, first things first, let's just see what we have here. We have the main screen, we have the minimap in the upper right corner, we have two empty hireling slots, we'll get to that later. We have an active buff tab. If we have any active buffs, for example Featherfall or protection from electricity or any kind of those, they will show up here. Then we have four different menus here. We have the quest menu, which I can either click on it or press Q. We have the auto notes menu, which I can also access by pressing N. The map menu, which shows me basically the map of the region. The whole world of Might and Magic 6 is divided into 16 regions, and this is the map of only one of them. So there's actually a lot of places to explore, including dungeons and everything. I can also access the maps by pressing M, and the calendar, which I can also access by pressing the T button, shows me the time, the day, the month, the year, the moon, and the location where I'm at. The time is actually fairly important because shops are only open from a certain hour to a certain hour, so if you want to visit the blacksmith and it's 10 PM, you can knock on his door, but he's not going to answer you. Underneath that we have the food tab, which shows us how much food we have. To the right of that is how much gold we have. Gold is basically used for everything in this game. Buying weapons, armor, spells, enlisting into different, guilds and things like that. Travel, basically everything. But it's only really a problem in the early game, to be honest. In the late game you'll have so much money you won't know what to do with it. And food is basically used mainly for resting. It's also used for travel, but it's not required for travel. Underneath that we have the cast spell button or the spell book, which I can either click to access or access it by pressing C. Now we're accessing Roderick's spellbook because he's highlighted here, which means he's selected. He only has one spell right now, which is Spirit Arrow, and I can cast it directly from the spellbook by double clicking on it. Oops, that was Alexis' spellbook. We can also set it as a ready spell or a quick spell. I can click on it and click on the icon, and now we have it ready as a quick spell. To the right of that we have the rest menu, and this is what I was talking about. You need food to rest. How much food you need to rest depends on which terrain you're standing on. For example, I'm standing on grass right now, and I need one food to rest. If I go here and stand on the road, for example, if I press rest now, I would need 2 foods to fully rest. So basically the gist of it is try to find an area that you will use up the least food when you're resting. Grass is basically the best option you have because it only uses up 1 food, and it's pretty much everywhere apart from like the end regions, which is desert and things like that. But anyway, try to find as good a terrain as possible so you use up as little food as you can. You can also use the rest menu to wait, for example, until dawn or 1 hour or 5 minutes. That's good if you're waiting, for example, for a shop to open, so you don't, waste time standing around. Then we have the quick reference, which is basically a summary of your characters. You can see which level they are, what class they are, how much HP they have, etc., and also what reputation they have. The reputation is actually fairly important, but it's a really gimmicky mechanic, so I won't be going into it that much. The game options are pretty self-explanatory. That's pretty much it, to be honest. Now, each of the characters has a separate inventory. I access the inventory by either double-clicking on a character or just clicking on a selected character. I can also press 1, 2, 3, and 4 to cycle between these characters, and then I can just press 1 again when I have Roderick selected because he's character number 1, and I can go straight into his inventory or stats or skills, whatever is selected at that time. Inventory is pretty simple. I like these Tetris style inventories because there's some inventory management involved, and I actually find it quite enjoyable. You can read descriptions of items by hovering over with the mouse and pressing the right mouse button. You'll see a brief description, and you will also see the effects that these items have. For example, let's just check out the sword. The sword is a longsword, which is basically a sword. It has +0 attack and it has 3d3 damage. Now what does that mean? Attack is basically your attack bonus. That is your chance to hit. If I equip the longsword with Roderick, he gives me a +0 chance to hit. Now he also has the base chance to hit, so even if it's a +0 attack, it doesn't mean anything. And the damage, basically, how damage is calculated is basically a dice system. If you're familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, for example, the 3d3 damage basically means roll the 3-sided die 3 times. So the damage of the longsword is 3 to 9. Which is different, for example, from the damage of the spear, where the damage is 1d9, which means roll a 9-sided die 1 time. So the damage of the spear is actually less compared to the sword, even though they have the same maximum amount of damage, which is 9. The sword has a minimum amount of damage of 3. Whereas the spear has a minimum amount of damage of 1. But the spear, if you read the description, has a nice little bonus of +1d9 if used two-handed, which means that if I use this in 2 hands, which Roderick automatically does if I equip it by dragging and clicking and left clicking on him, the damage of the spear is actually 2d9, which means the damage goes from 1 to 9 to 2 to 18. It's really useful, you know. Basically, it's a lot of math, or not so much math. Then we have the spell books. Now, before you can learn a spell, you have to know the magic skill. For example, Bless is a spirit magic spell, so you need spirit magic. Luckily, Roderick does have it, so I'll just learn Bless with him, and I'll learn Static Charge with Alexis, Remove Fear. And First Aid are Serena's spells, and Zoltan can learn Flame Arrow and Cold Beam. This is the starting items that I started with based on the skills that I chose. For example, I started with the Sword and Spear on Roderick because I chose the weapon skills of Sword and Spear. Serena had two extra spells to learn because I have 2 magic schools. I had 1 level 2 spell from Mind Magic and 1 level 2 spell from Body Magic, etc, etc. I'm just going to quickly equip all the relevant things now. So I'll equip this crossbow on Alexis. I'll also equip the hand axe because it actually has a better damage ratio. I won't equip the ring because it's not enchanted. This ring is not enchanted as well. I'll equip the mace on Serena as well as the shield. And then I'll equip the dagger with Zoltan, and I'll equip the leather armor on Zoltan. Ah, there we go. I actually got 1 enchanted ring. So this is a sparkling ring of health. As you can see, for example, Serena also has a sparkling ring, but it doesn't have any enchantment, so it doesn't basically have any value except to sell it. However, Zoltan's ring has a special of when I equip it on him, he'll get +1 to hit points, which is really good because Zoltan is a sorcerer and his health pool is pretty much non-existent. And I'm going to equip it on him, and the ring basically went into a sub-menu. If I click this magnifying glass, you'll get a sub-menu here. This is a necklace slot, the gauntlet slot, and 6 ring slots. So now he has 1 ring that gives him +1 hit points. That's great. Next thing is we can see here we have a potion bottle and an herb. We can basically mix those by picking up the herb and then right-clicking it on the potion bottle with it, and we get a yellow potion which is energy. And you can read the description and you can see that it adds 10 to primary statistics temporarily. Basically, if I drink this, it gives me 10 might, 10 intellect, 10 personality, 10 endurance, 10 accuracy, 10 speed, and 10 luck temporarily. Now temporarily basically means imagine it like this, temporarily basically means until you go to bed. That's how long it lasts. I'm just going to go ahead and drink it with Zoltan, and you can see that his hit points and his spell points actually lowered. But it's not that his hit points and spell points lowered, it's just that his hit point pool and spell point pool increased because I increased his stats. Remember when I was saying how intellect increases a sorcerer's spell points? Well, this is what I mean. He's also going to be doing a bit more damage for the time being and everything. I'm just going to do some inventory management. Inventory management I think is fairly important, especially when you are trying to sell things to merchants. Now I like to have it like this. Of course you can make up your own system. I like to have weapons on my first character, which in this case is Zoltan. I like to have armor on my second character, and I like to have miscellaneous items, so let's say rings and hats without armor class, and necklaces and herbs and potion bottles on my third character, and I like to have quest items and other related items on my fourth character. So basically I'm going to give this to Serena. Roger is going to keep these clubs. This letter is actually a quest item, so I'm going to give it to Zoltan. The fine ring, we can sell that. The club goes to Roderick again. The club again goes to Roderick. So we have this inventory managed. Congrats. We can also pick up this letter, and if I left click, we can read it. This is really good because you can find a lot of flavor text in these things. I'm not going to read this whole letter or pretty much any letter to you. I'm just going to, show you, and you can pause it if you want to read it. It does have some story value, but I'm only interested in it as a quest item. Now we also have other sub-menus here. So this is the inventory where we're in right now. We also have the stats menu, which shows us our basically statistics. It shows us the numerical value of our hit points, the condition we're in, whether we're poisoned, diseased, or things like that, which quick spell we have chosen, how much bonus to attack we have. Attack in this case basically means how likely you are to hit, and the damage is how much damage you do when you actually hit. Shoot is on -1 and the damage is unavailable because I do not have a bow equipped. However, Alexis does have a bow equipped, and she has a shoot chance to hit of +1, and she deals 4 to 8 damage. What else we have next is the skills tab, where you can see basically 4 different categories of skills. You have weapon skills, magic skills, armor skills, and miscellaneous skills. It's pretty self-explanatory. You can right-click pretty much everything in this game and it will show you a description. This is where we'll be leveling the skills later when you actually get a level up. But that's pretty much it for now. Now we can move. You move using the arrow keys. You can run with shift, and if you want to strafe, you can hold down control and move right and left. If you want to do a certain action, specifically if you want to attack using the items you have equipped, you just need to highlight a character and press A. For example, now I just attack with Roderick, and I'll just keep attacking some more. Roderick does not have a bow equipped, so when I'm pressing the attack button, he attacks with his spear, because he only has a spear equipped. Now, for example, Alexis has a bow equipped, and I'm just going to show you what I mean with that. For example, if I attack with Roderick, he's going to attack with his spear, but Alexis has her crossbow equipped, so if I press attack on her, she'll automatically shoot. Now, you don't need to worry about your characters using bows in hand-to-hand combat or other way around. If they have a bow equipped, and if there are no monsters in hand-to-hand range, they will automatically use their bow. You do this by pressing the A key. Now you'll see, because my characters are attacking, they also go on cooldown. This little green light that I have, when they do an action, the light sort of turns off. That means they went on cooldown. Basically, they have a recovery time. Each action has a different amount of recovery to it. For example, Roderick has a spear, and if he attacks with a spear, he's going to have a longer recovery time than, for example, Zoltan, who has a dagger equipped. Let me just give a quick demonstration. I'm first going to attack with Roderick and then with Zoltan, and you can see who basically finished their recovery time first. Oops. There we go. Zoltan was back first. This is just a slight demonstration. I don't need to worry about it too much, but in general, the daggers are the fastest to attack, and the slowest, I think, are spears and maybe axes and maces. Skills though, as you can see in the description here, for example, some skills give you attack bonus, but the sword skill, if you have the expert mastery skill, it reduces recovery time. So there are ways to improve that. Next thing I wanted to tell you is if you have a quick spell, for example, like we have here with Roderick, we chose the Spirit Arrow as the ready spell. So he has a quick spell of Spirit Arrow. Now if you press S, he's going to cast that spell, and there we go. It's good to have a offensive quick spell because you can quickly cast it if you're using real time, so you don't have to, you know, go into the spell book and cast it that way. How the S button works is also, if you do not have a quick spell selected, you will do a normal attack. For example, Roderick does have a quick spell selected, so he's going to cast a spell. Alexis does not have a quick spell selected, so she's going to do a ranged attack because she has a bow equipped. Serena does not have a bow equipped, so she'll do a normal attack if I press S. Quick demonstration. So Roderick, Alexis, Serena. It's actually pretty simple. I hope that I'm making myself clear and that I'm not just needlessly complicating things for you guys. And that's pretty much it. You can use the X button to jump, and you can use the delete to look down, which is really handy if you're trying to pick items up from the ground and you just can't seem to get them. Page up you use to look up. Page down you use to look up for some reason, and basically centers your view. And basically the last button there is the interact button, which is the spacebar. For example, if I walk up to this peasant right here, I can press the spacebar and I can interact with her, and I can click on different topics and I basically chat with her. And this is basically it in terms of, you know, keys and other things like that. You will probably need some time to get used to it. Like I said, it's an old game. You mostly play it on a keyboard. You do have a... I'm sorry, that was my telephone. You do have to use the mouse as well, you know, to navigate. But honestly, once you get the controls down, it's pretty simple. Sort of intuitive. So yeah, let's go play the game. So the first thing I want to do is... I have this letter here. So I'm going to go to the inn, that's the inn. Hello! And we have three people here. We have the innkeep, and we have this Andover Potbello dude, and we have Maria. I don't know why I said it like that. So let's talk to the innkeep first. I do need some spell points. I'm missing some spell points for this, so for the sake of it, I'm gonna rent this room for 3 gold pieces. I'm gonna sleep the night. So I will replenish my hit points, my spell points, and also reset the day. I think now it is 6 AM. It is 6 AM, 6 AM, 4 minutes past 6. I'm gonna go back in, talk to Andor Potbello, and he's interested in the letter I have. So, oh, the seal. Here, I'm supposed to give you this money. Now go away. Before we're seen together, someone will get suspicious. I know, I have great voice acting, I know, you don't need to tell me. And he also has a quest for us. Could you do the Temple of Ba a favor? It appears that my brethren left the old temple to the northwest of here in a little too much of a hurry, and the candelabra necessary for some of our rituals was left behind. None of the Ba priests want to go back because they're afraid of whatever curse has been placed on the temple. If you were to bring back the candelabra to me, however, I could reward you in their place. Now, basically this is how you get different quests. None of the quests have a time limit, which is good. So whenever you get a quest, or whenever you talk to somebody who wants to give you a quest, be sure to click it and you can read the details and everything, and then you can basically complete it at your leisure. And Maria just has some different, just has some topics. For example, if I click on daggers, she'll give me a description of daggers. If I click on goblins, we'll talk about goblins. It's really easy, to be honest. Now, what Dirk the Innkeep also has, he has an option to fill packs to 6 days for 2 gold. Basically, he means he'll give me 6 food for 2 gold. He can only fill my food packs up to 6 days worth. For example, now I have 7 days worth. If I click on this button, nothing happens because my packs are already full. And that's pretty much it. And then we have the blacksmith here.
Looking for a weapon?
We got some money from Andover Podbello, so we can actually try and upgrade... Ooh, nice, a trident. We can actually try and upgrade our weapons. So, for example, the spear here, which Roderick also has equipped, does 1d9 damage, plus 1d9 if used two-handed, and the trident does 2d6 damage, plus 1d6 if used two-handed. It's not much of an upgrade, but we could decide to buy it if we have enough money left over. You basically have two different tabs. You have the buy tab, which is sort of the standard run-of-the-mill items, and then you have the special. Each blacksmith specializes in certain things, and if you click on special you'll get more of those kind of items. For example, he specializes in daggers, and those are going to be really useful. The piercing dagger right now is the best dagger that we can get for Zoltan. We will definitely be getting that. And as you can see, this piercing dagger has an attack of +4 and damage of 2d3 +4. Basically, I get a larger attack bonus and I have more damage with it. I'm not going to go into the mad details anymore because you can figure that out yourself, or if you have any questions you can write in the comments and hopefully I'll answer it. But that's basically the gist of it. Next to the blacksmith we have the armorsmith.
Don't touch the merchandise.
Same thing but with armors. Now you have to learn the skill before you can actually wear the armor. So for example, the only one that has an armor skill right now is Zoltan, and oh yeah, and Serena has the shield. So Serena could equip a better shield and Zoltan could equip a better leather armor. They have it. There we go. There's a better leather armor. So you see he has a leather armor that has +4. Zoltan has a leather armor that has +4 armor equipped. I could actually buy the studded leather that has +6 armor, but for now I'm just, you know, exploring the town and seeing what they have to offer. There's another thing I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up these horseshoes. This, by the way, is the carriage. You can use it to travel to different regions. Like the coach companies have set regions that they can travel to. For example, the one in New Sorpigal only travels to Castle Ironfist, which is just next to it. It's useful if you're traveling, you know, further. For example, if you're traveling from Castle Ironfist to Freehaven, which are two regions that we haven't been to. Surprise, surprise. So yeah, but they only go on specific days to specific destinations. The Seeing Eye is actually closed for now, so I'm going to press R, and I'm going to wait for 2 hours, so it's open. And this is basically your quote-unquote alchemist item shop. You get a few different types of things here. You get gauntlets, you get spell books, you get herbs, you get boots, for example, and things like that. Helmets as well. There's some overlap. For example, the armorsmiths also sell gauntlets and boots and helmets, but for example they don't sell belts. So yeah, this is New Sorpigal's alchemist. This is a trader.
Have a look around.
The trader basically has random items for sale, but it restocks them every day. The thing is though that it is quite expensive compared to other things. So I wouldn't exactly recommend visiting traders because you can get things cheaper in other places. Then we just have basic houses. We can click on the portraits, and as we can see, Abdullah Maghreb here is a teacher of body magic. So if I get to skill level 4 with body magic, with Serena for example, I can have him teach me the mastery expert, which is going to be really useful. But this is pretty much it for exploring the town. The rest you can do yourselves. I'm actually going to go and start the gameplay now. First things first, I'm gonna enable double speed, which is what I was talking about earlier with the Greyface patch. And this is the thing that I like to do first. First, I like to go into this house and buy the Buccaneer's Lair membership, which is a guild that teaches skills. And the house next to it has the Blade's End membership, which teaches different skills, and there are 2 more here. We have the Guild of the South. And she also gives us a quest. And then the house next to it gives us an elemental guild membership and another quest. So we've stocked up on different memberships and different quests. For now we're going to travel to Castle Ironfist first. So right now we can't travel because they don't travel to Castle Ironfist on this day, so I'm going to wait until dawn here.
Need a ride?
And there we go, Castle Ironfist. And if you notice, the portraits actually turned, well, kind of sour. That's because we waited for a whole day and our characters are now weak. They have lowered stats, which means they are weaker in combat, for example, because they have last night. Try to avoid negative statuses like the plague. I'm just going to travel to Castle Ironfist now. And as you can see, Castle Ironfist, we're in a different region now. And why we're here is it's sort of a mini intro quest that is present in pretty much all of Might and Magic games. It's sort of a jump start for your resources and your
Master Nikolai Ironfist,
experience. I just want to
Enroth.
bring the letter that we've also shown to Suleiman, not to Suleiman, to Mr. Podbello, to Wilbur Humphrey. And I'm gonna get 5,000 gold for it as well as some experience, and that's going to be incredibly useful for the start. Now this is actually a trainer, a gymnasium. You level up when you have enough experience. You can go to a gymnasium to level up. You have to pay money to level up. So first you need experience, you need a certain amount of experience, and then you need to pay money to get a level up. Now we're going to do this. So this is the Royal Gymnasium here. It's closed now because it's 6 AM. So I'm just going to wait a few minutes.
Hey, look
And I'm going to train all my characters to level 3.
Well
So I used up some of that money. But for each level so far, I got 5 extra skill points. So now all of my characters have 10 skill points. And here I'm actually going to dump my skill points into Disarm Trap. With her I'm going to... I actually don't have any other skills yet, so I'm gonna wait a bit. I do not have Merchant yet, and I don't have Repair Item yet, so I'm gonna wait with all these characters.
Greetings
I am, however,
salutations.
going to become an expert in the Disarm
Yes.
Trap with Roderick. It's really handy. This is why I always take the Disarm Trap expert here, because it enables me to avoid as much traps as possible in the early game, and it's basically readily available.
Hello?
The guy next to me also teaches identification expertise, but I don't ever take the identify item skill because there is a hireling that you can hire
Greetings.
that basically gives you the maximum amount of identification item skill. So basically, as long as you have the hireling, you can identify any items, be it artifact, relic, anything basically. So I feel it's kind of a waste to have a identify item skill and not really, use it. And why was I picking up horseshoes? Well, each horseshoe that you use gives you 2 skill points. Usually what I do, because I'm that kind of a person, is I get 4 horseshoes and then I use 1 on every character. I like to keep I like to have my characters, you know, with the same amount of skill points and level and everything, and to be as sort of that the equipment that they have is as balanced as possible. I think that's fairly good.
Hello, come on in.
There's another inn. What else do we have to do here? All right, yeah, we're going to join another guild.
Hello, how are you?
We're going to join the Berserker's Fury.
Thank you.
And take that quest, of course, which is... The dragoons that have been plaguing the roads around here recently stole a harp of mine from one of my caravans. I'm not strong enough to get it back from them, but I'm willing to pay someone capable to do it for me. Find the harp and return it, and I'll reward you.
Ready to learn something.
I'll do it on my
new?
own time. So now, this is basically the guild, or a guild. This is the Berserker's Fury, and I have the option of learning different skills here, and this is what I'm gonna do. First things first, I can't stress this enough, the bow is probably the most important skill to have on every character. So I'm going to teach everybody to use the bow. So I taught Roderick how to use the bow, I'm going to teach Serena to use the bow, and I'm going to teach Zoltan how to use the bow. Alexis is an archer, she already knows how to use it. And then I'm going to teach Roderick how to wear plate armor, I'm going to teach Alexis to wear chain armor, I'm going to teach Serena to use chain armor, and I'm going to teach Zoltan to repair my items. And basically, different guilds have different things that they can teach your characters. Now, different classes can learn different skills. For example, Zoltan, who is a sorcerer, for example, can learn the spear or the plate skill. So he basically has nothing more that he can offer to Zoltan. And that is it for now. I'm going to put 3 points into the repair item skill so I can put it to master level as soon as possible. And now I need to find a safe place to rest.
Hello, come on in.
It's a pricey... You know what, I'm gonna just pay the 40 gold. So that I can get back to New Sorpigal as quickly as possible. Oh, the arena! So the arena is special. The arena, you can fight in the arena once a week. I think the coach in obviously Castle Ironfist and the coach in Freehaven go there on Sundays. So we have Sunday here. I don't want to go to the arena though, so I'm just going to go back to New Sorpigal. And there's one more thing to do before I start. We're going to visit the Buccaneer's Lair, but the Buccaneer's Lair is only open from 6 PM to 6 AM. So I'm gonna wait a few hours here. There we go.
Look who's here.
And I'm going to teach Alexis Perception, and I'm going to teach Serena Merchant. Now these are the basic skills that I would recommend that your character has. I don't feel like you'll be needing any other miscellaneous skills. I think Disarm Trap, Repair Item, Perception and Merchant is enough. I think that the vital ones are Perception and Disarm Trap. Perception is actually vital because without Perception you won't actually be able to finish the game, which is kind of silly if you ask me, but that's how it is. Disarm Trap is vital for not having every single chest blow up in your face, because some traps can actually one-hit KO your characters, and it's really annoying. You can do without Merchant, and you also can do without Repair Item. Although Merchant is incredibly useful because with the Merchant skill you buy items for less gold and you sell them for more gold, so it is a very useful thing to have. And Repair Item, again, it's very useful because you can repair items on the go. You don't need to visit a blacksmith or an armor smith to fix your weapons and your armor, and you also don't have to pay for it naturally. Usually the only thing I would possibly recommend is that you have the Identify Item skill. However, as I said, you can get a hireling that basically replaces your Identify Item skill completely, so I think it's kind of a waste. But this is the setup I would advise that you start with. I'm just gonna cycle through the different characters so you can see which skills they have. The most important thing basically is the bow. I think you should have the bow skill on all characters, regardless of which class they are. You can just have it, you know, on level 1, normal bow skill, and that's fine. If they can equip the bow, it's good, because bows are incredibly useful. For example, if you have a sorcerer that runs out of spell points, you want him to be able to do something, you know, on long distance. And we have basically 1,122 gold left. Now that we have merchant skill, I'm also going to first sell these things. Oh no, it's closed again, so I'm gonna wait until dawn, and then 1 hour more, because dawn starts at 5 AM here.
Looking for a weapon?
I'm going to sell the swords and the clubs. The clubs aren't worth much, but the swords are worth a bit, so, and I'm going to buy the piercing dagger that I was eyeing earlier for Zoltan. So we can see, for example, that the normal dagger has 2d2, and this one has 2d3 plus 4 damage along with a plus 4 bonus to attack. Now if I equip the normal dagger out, the one that I had before, and go to the stat screen, I can see he has +0 attacking, he has 1 to 3 damage. But if I go with this one, he has a +4 to hit and 5 to 9 damage, which is actually a very, very big buff. Try to get better weapons as soon as possible. They're really gonna help you in the early game, to be honest. Which I know it's self-explanatory,
Looking for a weapon?
but I just want to stress that get good weapons
Come again.
is basically my advice.
Don't touch the
Armor,
merchandise.
not so important, to be honest. I mean, well, it is important, but not so much as weapons are in the early game. Items are the least important. Yeah. I think we can actually start playing. So, I'll meet you here next episode, guys. Thanks for watching. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. And I'll see you next time when we actually go tackle some goblins right over there. Bye, guys.